Hello, my name is Matthew Eckelberg, and this is my video presentation for Best Buy analysis. The purpose of this assignment is to analyze an article written in 2018 about the successful Best Buy turnaround strategy. We will be covering it more in depth in the slides to follow. Quick overview on what we're going to talk about today. First, an introduction, then an executive summary, the overall challenge, perceived obstacles associated with that challenge, and some small steps and small wins and opportunities that can be done to ultimately overcome these challenges along the way. And then a summary to wrap things up. So, quick introduction. Best Buy. In case you haven't heard of them, they are the largest specialty realtor in the U.S. consumer electronics retail industry. They are now thriving as of 2020, but however, not that long ago, they were on the verge of bankruptcy in 2012. We did not really see substantial improvements until around 2018. And that was due primarily to the Renew the Blue strategy, which we will go over in the slides to follow. All right, taking a look at the executive summary to kind of summarize the overall challenge, some of the perceived obstacles, and small wins and opportunities that Best Buy can take along the way. That's what we're doing here. So, as I said, the main source of information used for this executive summary and this assignment is the Forbes article. The title of the article is Best Buy Rising from Ashes to Lead New Retail Paradigm, written in 2018 by David Trainer. So without further ado, looking at the executive summary, what was the overall goal? Well, I mean, at the end of the day, it was, simply put, avoiding bankruptcy. As I mentioned, they were struggling to stay afloat, primarily due to the Amazon effect, otherwise known as just the boom of the e-commerce industry and the colossal negative impacts it was having on the traditional brick and mortar retail stores. Some of the challenges and obstacles needed to be done was restructure the business model, cut internal costs and operational expenses, elevate the customer experience. They needed to develop a way that would convince the consumer to get out of their house, get off the internet, and come to the store for one reason or another. So that was one of the challenges. Leadership needed to inspire the shared vision company-wide, which Renew the Blue really effectively did, ultimately. All right, on to the challenge. As I mentioned in the executive summary, public enemy number one was avoiding bankruptcy. Now that sounds very, very simple and generic. However, it was a very real possibility that was at the front of everyone's minds. They had to find ways to counter the brick and mortar versus e-commerce retail, aka the Amazon effect. And ultimately it was the need to adapt and embrace the e-commerce culture or be left behind. There's really no alternative there. Some other issues being the lack of effective leadership. For years, Best Buy had been seeing a decrease in sales and popularity, and executives and managers just kind of stood by until 2012 when they launched the Renew Blue strategy, which has obviously panned out, because we kind of have a crystal ball here, has panned out for the better. Poorly managed balance sheet, overspending on internal operations, stores in certain locations and regions performing below average, the total debt acquired overall by Best Buy, and other various factors on the balance sheet need to be improved at this moment in 2018. Some perceived obstacles that are associated with those challenges, because of course every challenge that we seek out to fix or improve, there are obstacles along the way. So number one is, okay, the e-commerce industry is taking off. How do we counter Amazon? So obstacle is, how do we convince the consumer to visit our stores? And if we, can't beat them, then I guess we join them. What would be necessarily a solution kind of to that obstacle is, let's ramp up the IT infrastructure and offer a more holistic online shopping experience. Leaders are required to put this plan into action. So as I mentioned earlier, the lack of effective leadership is a challenge. And what is the obstacle? You can't just tell a leader to lead better. It doesn't work that way. But we need, perhaps some leadership seminars put in place to energize these executive leaders and these managers to carry on that down to the employees and really see through that, to really inspire that shared vision across. An overhaul, of operational model and expenses. We had seen there was a lackluster return on investment capital. Operating expenses were poorly managed, and I listed this quite generic compared to the challenge, simply because this is a obstacle in of itself. That is a very large project for any company to take under their wing, let alone such a large enterprise that Best Buy is. And looking at the small wins, small steps, and opportunities. So, as we already talked about a few times, the Renew the Blue strategy is what the Best Buy executive management team came up with. And when you really look at it, it is 5 smaller steps broken down into even smaller steps. Now, what exactly are those 5 steps? The 5 steps, as listed by Best Buy, was 1, reinvigorate the customer experience. 2, attract transformational leaders and energize employees. 3, work with vendors to innovate and drive value. 4, increase the company's ROIC by growing revenue and efficiency. And 5, make the world a better place through recycling efforts and giving people access to technology. That was the Renew the Blue strategy that Best Buy reinvigorated their company with. Certainly, Best Buy's executive management team understood the importance of small steps creating big changes. I imagine that these 5 steps in the Renew the Blue strategy were followed up with some agile project management structures with focused sprints along the way. So here I'm going to list out some possible examples of what those sprints may have looked like, with the first one being hiring BI consultants. That might be a little biased to me, but this is something that could drastically help in each of these areas. When you start asking questions like how do we increase foot traffic, how do we compete with Amazon, what are they doing differently? When you start looking at data, real-time data, and analyzing the data sets, we can start creating some data-driven decisions and really invigorate this Renew the Blue strategy to the next level. The customer experience, like I mentioned, how do we ensure that they come to Best Buy first rather than Amazon? What are they doing differently? So on and so forth. Incentivize being a quality leader. Require leadership seminars and training for executives and managers. And can we brainstorm some more incentives for managers and employees to become managers, or just for being a good employee? What can we incentivize, and how can we ensure that this vision is carried out? And then, of course, we want to we need to take a look at the data set, and we need to analyze our ROIC and our entire balance sheet. But those first 2 words are a little more intriguing to me, is vendor partnerships. In that article, it's pretty interesting. Amazon being one of the main key reasons that for Best Buy's demise in 2012, or near total demise, they are now partners. So Best Buy stores, are still creating value to Amazon, and vice versa, selling, exclusive TVs with the Amazon Alexa or the Fire TV operating systems. So it's interesting how vendor partnerships can help each other out. That kind of plays along the same lines of the saying I used earlier. If you can't beat them, join them, or rather, partner with them. So a quick summary on what we talked about today. An introduction, executive summary, challenge, perceived obstacles, small steps and wins and opportunities, and a summary. My name is Matthew Eckelberg. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed this presentation. Have a great day. Bye-bye.